What is up, and welcome into another episode of the Somebody Said Canes show. As always, I appreciate everybody that tunes in. I appreciate all of the likes. I appreciate all of the subscribes. I appreciate all of the comments. The Canes family has been showing nothing but love to me since I've started this page, doing this weekly show, man, and I just appreciate it. Every week I'm going to come on here. I'm going to say I appreciate it. Y'all been rocking with me doing the shows on Wednesday night. I switched them over to Tuesdays for the time being. Y'all still been rocking with me every week. The views, the likes, the subs, it's all going up, man. And I appreciate it. It's all love. Big shout out to the Canes fan for holding it down in that regard. Last week we did on the Somebody Said Sports Show, which we do every Monday night at 9 p.m. where we talk everything football. That's NFL and college. And we did a full 3 hour plus live draft watch show for the whole first round of the NFL draft. A lot of folks jumped in and watched that too. Appreciate it, man. That was a long show. 3 hours is long, by far the longest show we've done. We usually keep the shows about an hour. We went three. Live reaction to every first round draft pick for the NFL draft, man. That was dope. That was a lot of fun. Again, the likes, the subscribes, and all of that is going to continue to allow me to do more with this show and to continue to do more stuff with that show, man. It does nothing to hurt you. You're not going to get no spam phone calls, not going to send you nothing in the mail, not going to ask you for no money at no point. This is just on the muscle, on the love. And so, as much as people can hit that like, hit that subscribe, man, I just appreciate it. And then hit them comments, man, so we can talk ball. I want to talk ball with as many Canes fans as possible. I'm in multiple Hurricane group chats. It's never enough. You can never have enough Canes talk, man. So as many people who want to chop it up with me by way of the comments, man, appreciate y'all doing so. We're going to continue to grind out and continue to hopefully put out some good content that other Canes fans can enjoy. That is my goal with this. It is simply to put out Canes content that other people like as well. See some folks rolling in, man. We're going to go ahead and start jumping into this content, talking about some stuff that's been top of mind, man, or stuff that's been in the headlines from a Hurricanes perspective. For the off season, it's been a lot to talk about in the last week, man. It's been a whole lot going on. Unfortunately, one of the goings on has been recruiting. And, I've been on here talking positively, feeling good about where Miami was in recruiting. We've done well thus far. We've got some big name kids that are already committed. We've got our quarterback of the class, Israel Abrams. We've got no cut Nick Lanier out of South Florida, who's just an absolute dog out there at receiver. We've got a number of other kids that are already in the boat. And so the vibes were up. We were hearing good things on other kids who were going to be potentially committing. And so everybody was feeling good about recruiting. And then the last week or so happens, and all of a sudden, seems like we've got some recruiting concerns. Again, I know that not everybody pays attention to recruiting. That's not everybody's thing. So I get that. And if it's not your thing, again, totally understand it, especially when you see about some of the stuff that's happened over the past week or so. I totally understand, dog, and I get it. What has happened? For those who aren't tuned in, for those who don't really follow along with the recruiting stuff, what is it that's happened in the past week or so that's got some people feeling a little concerned about our recruiting standing? Well, this past Saturday, this happened. This is a graphic for Myson Johnson Cook, who is a highly rated, highly sought after running back out of East St. Louis. I've talked about him a few times. Again, like a goofball, and which is why I need to stay in my lane. I am not an insider by any means, and I'll never try to pretend to be. I talked about this kid potentially being the next one to commit to us. He did commit. It wasn't us. Clearly, he committed to Auburn. Now, it was a very interesting situation because this kid was around Miami a lot. He was in Miami no less than 3 times during the spring season, watching practice, at the barbecue, hanging out around campus, saying all the right things about Miami. Some folks in the know say he was silently committed. He told Mario Cristobal he was coming. And then he had a commitment date set, April the 25th. And then leading up to that commitment, in the couple of days, hours, all of a sudden, people start talking about Auburn. Well, he took a midweek visit to Auburn to see what they had going on over there at the Plains. Alex Golesh trying to rebuild a once proud program over there. And then all of a sudden, the Miami chatter starts to quiet a little bit, and the Auburn noise starts to rise a little bit. And then he goes out there on Saturday and he picks Auburn. And then if that wasn't tough enough, because this was our crown jewel running back target, this was the number one running back commit or target on the board from a recruiting standpoint in this class. You lose him to Auburn, what seemed like at the ninth hour, which was frustrating, upsetting, annoying, concerning. But it's like, all right, he's not even from Florida. He's from St. Louis. Auburn is rumored to be throwing a crazy bag at him, which not surprised. Again, Auburn is trying to rebuild that program and they've got money to spend. Auburn has money to spend, right? We've seen Auburn win some major recruitments, especially when they throw some decent, strong money at a kid. And so it seems to be that's at least a factor here. Obviously, also, the path to the field is pretty easy. It's pretty easy. Auburn is not loaded by any means at any position group. Again, Alex Golesh hasn't even coached a single down there of live football. And so he is going to be doing whatever he can to try to start accumulating talent. And if you're a talented kid, he very well is telling you you can play immediately. And can you really blame a kid? Absolutely not. And also, the SEC draw thing is always going to be there. Auburn's got some history, man. So, we can't act like Auburn is some scrub program who's never done anything. Auburn's legit. So it is what it is, right? Kid commits to Auburn. But then if that wasn't frustrating, that wasn't annoying enough, this happened. This is Mark Matthews. If you recall, I did a show about a month ago now of my top 5 most wanted recruits in this class. Mark Matthews was one of my top 5 most wanted recruits in this class. Mark Matthews is a 5-star offensive tackle from St. Thomas Aquinas down there in South Florida. He's an absolute dog. Mark Matthews probably would have been a 5-star tackle in the class that's already on campus, right? There are people who are saying that before Jackson Cantwell got on campus at Miami, that Mark Matthews might already be better than him. Mark Matthews is going to play on Sundays. Mark Matthews is an absolute stud. Mark Matthews lives down the street from the University of Miami, so to speak. Local kid. And according to Steve Wilfong, he's expecting Mark Matthews to commit to the Texas A&M Aggies. That one's brutal. That is a tough pill to swallow, man. That one is absolutely rough, dog, because, again, you talk about keeping the elite talent home. That has been a storyline with Miami Hurricanes recruiting for years now. How many kids have gotten away from Miami and went and balled out elsewhere? Dalvin Cook ring a bell. Does Jerry's from down south. Jeremiah Smith recently. Sonny Michel going back a few years earlier. There's a laundry list, right? Alabama once won a national championship with 4 DBs starting, 2 corners, 2 safeties, all from Florida. And so we thought, or we wanted, when Mario came to town, that he would change that narrative and that landscape. And to a certain extent, he has. But losing a Mark Matthews is a brutal loss, if indeed it goes this way. If indeed Steve Wilfong is right, and Mark Matthews does commit and actually sign with the Aggies and chooses to go play his football in College Station. Should we be concerned? It's a legitimate question. Anybody acting like it's not a legit question, they're not being for real. Right? They're trying to cope, and you can do that. I'm not overly up in arms, right? And I'm going to say why here in a second. But it's not a far-fetched idea to have some concerns. Like, what is going on, right? Because when you think about the history of Miami recruiting, there's been some recurring things. There's been things that we've had to get over the years. If you've been following Miami Hurricanes football recruiting since our glory days, you know that there's been stuff like kids getting paid under the table, right? And going to play ball somewhere else because Either they were getting a car or they were getting a little bit of money. And obviously, Miami wasn't able to do that, especially not to the level of some other schools before NIL, before the portal and the current landscape. If Miami tried to do that kind of stuff, they would have gave us the death penalty. But there were teams getting away with it back in the past, and we weren't one of those teams. We've seen kids as of even last year make comments like, I want to see Miami win first. Miami just played for a national championship. Mark Matthews is forecasted, crystal balled, fong bombed to go to Texas A&M, who Miami just beat in Texas A&M. TMU fans on Twitter trying to troll, talking about, well, maybe he wants to play in front of more than 10,000 fans. Well, them 102,000 fans didn't help y'all when y'all took that L against Miami in the playoff. Kids are saying that, you want to see Miami win. Miami just knocked off Ohio State, Ole Miss. That was two SEC teams, arguably the premier program in college football over the past decade in Ohio State, on their way to competing for a national championship. Last 2 seasons, we've won double-digit games. So you can no longer use the excuse that you want to see Miami win. But if you've been following Miami recruiting for a while, you know that that's been a thing. Then there's this other factor, man, and it's hard to quantify. It's hard to know when this one's going to happen. Some kids just want to be somewhere else. I think there is a fascination with some of these kids of just, I grew up in this area. I'm from South Florida. I've only ever lived here. I want to go experience living somewhere else. I want to be in a college town. I think that's weird. I think it's odd. But honestly, I think a lot of stuff these kids do these days is odd, right? We're talking about Florida kids who walk around in hoodies in June and July. And y'all know how hot it is around here. These is just different. These just be on some different kind of time, man. And so some of these kids are gonna do some stuff, and you like, dog, that makes no sense. Well, for me as a 30-plus-year-old man, yeah, I think it's dumb. For whatever reason, it makes sense for them. But this is what you can rest easy about when it comes to Miami Hurricanes recruiting. We are not losing recruitments anymore due to lack of effort. There were times around some coaches, Manny Diaz being one of them at a time, where they wouldn't even get into some of these recruiting battles. They wouldn't even throw their hat in the ring, so to speak. They really wouldn't try to go toe-to-toe if Georgia was offering a kid or Ohio State was after a kid. They wouldn't even try to scrap with them. We're not losing kids for lack of fight in terms of recruiting. We're not losing kids for lack of funds in recruiting. We've got money. There's not a shortage of money to use in NIL, to use in endorsement deals in and around the University of Miami football program to draw kids. We have funds, right? Don't get it twisted, right? We just got we just won some major recruitments, and every major recruitment we've won required some money. Going back to some of the guys I want to talk about here in a second who made their way to the NFL draft very recently, we spent money to get those kids. We've got some kids committed right now where we spent money to get those commitments. Jackson Cantwell is not playing in Miami for free. So it's not from a lack of money either. It's also not from a lack of development. Again, I'm going to talk about the draft results. We just had 9 kids get drafted, 3 in the first round, 2 of them defensive end, 1 at tackle. Those are 2 of the top 5 most important positions in football, and we just put 3 guys in the first round. So it's not from a lack of development if we're losing a recruitment. It's not from a lack of energy and focus around recruitment. There's been some coaches we've heard about on the college landscape, like Dan Mullen, who just didn't care about recruiting like that. They just didn't want to do it, and that's fine. And I hope the best for them. Mario Cristobal don't fit that bill. Mario Cristobal has made his bones largely in part due to his recruiting chops. Mario is a dog recruiter. He's been an elite recruiter his entire time as a coach, going back to when he was a grad assistant on the University of Miami staff. So if we lose a recruitment, it's not because of lack of funds, effort, development, or willing to try. With that being said, though, With that being said, we're still going to lose recruitments. Like, it's going to happen. You can't win them all. We are battling for some of the most sought after kids in the country, not just locally, nationally. We recruit nationally now. We are battling the biggest programs, some of the biggest booster clubs, some of the most well-known names. When a logo walks in the room, everybody recognizes it type of programs. That's who we're battling for some of these recruitments. We're just not going to win them all. Hey, shout out to Jose in the comments, man. Jose, I appreciate you tuning in, man. Jose jumped in the comments. He said he's a longtime fan, man. Appreciate it. Watching since the glory days. Same, man. As long as I can remember, at least. We won championships without Mark Matthew type recruits. You don't need every five-star to win a championship, but we're still getting our share. Jose, I'm glad you finished with that final statement, because that's where I want to wrap this piece up. I agree. You don't need every five-star to win a championship. We just saw Ohio State put 10 kids into the draft, multiple more first rounders than we had. I think they had 4. We only had 3. Multiple kids in the top 10 and the top 15, and they didn't win a championship this season. Those guys were part of the championship winning season the prior year, but they didn't win it this year. And you could say that they had a more talented roster than we did. So no, you don't need a team full of 5 stars to win championships. More important than that, we are getting our share. We're getting our share. Our recruiting class, currently ranked 16th, is not going to end up in the 30s. It's not going to end up in the 40s. It's not going to end up in the 20s. We're still going to have an elite recruiting class. Our recruiting class is still going to be very highly rated, with a bunch of names of kids who are going to be immediate impact, guys who are going to develop and they're going to contribute to winning Miami Hurricanes football. So, yes, we may have lost out on the Mice and Johnson Cook recruit. Mark Matthews might actually go to Aggie land and play for Texas A&M. Miami's going to get theirs. Mario Cristobal is going to get his. And for what we don't get on the high school recruiting level, you see what we've done in the portal. Darian Mensah out of the portal. Last year, 2 years ago, Damian Martinez and Cam Ward out of the portal. Last year, Carson Beck, CJ Daniels, Markel Bell was out of the portal. Akeem Mesidor was out of the portal. Mo Torre out of the portal. Jacoby Thomas and Keontae Scott. So whatever we miss on the high school ranks, Mario gonna get his in either from other high school kids or in the portal. So if you are concerned about recruiting, you're upset about some of the recruiting momentum at the moment, I'm gonna leave you with this video. The tagline for the night is Roger said. Well, what is it that Roger said?
Letters here, just for everybody out there in Packerland and yourself today. RELAX. Relax. We're going to be okay.
If you're worried about Miami Hurricanes recruiting, RELAX. Relax. We're going to be okay. We're going to have all the talent that we need. This program is not going backwards. This ship is only moving forwards. We're going to get our fair share of elite recruits. We're going to continue to supplement via the portal, and we're going to continue to be a successful team on the field. Long as Mario is running the show, as long as we continue to have the financial stability and foundation behind it, we are going to be fine. Don't trip over the recruiting. And it's April, dog. These kids don't sign until December. It's April. There's so many twists and turns still yet to happen in this recruiting stuff. Bruh, don't lose no sleep over it. I am disappointed, yes, if a Mark Matthews leaves, because he was in my top 5 most wanted. He's a local kid. One of those recruitments you say, hey, we got to find a way. Dog, we're going to be fine. Aaron Rodgers once said, RELAX. We're going to be fine. All right. So now some of the aforementioned guys that I was just talking about, NFL draft came around, man. And I said that I was excited about this draft. For the first time in a while, I was excited about the NFL draft in general because there was going to be so many Miami Hurricanes selected. Last week, I think I said I thought it'd be about 7 or 8. There was somebody in the comments saying they thought it'd be 8. Well, we ended up with 9. All right, so shout out to that, man. That was dope. And then a few other guys who are getting invitations to mini camps, some other guys who are undrafted, free agent pickups as well. So we had a very, very good draft. The Miami Hurricanes did. In total, we had 9 guys drafted, and then we were top 5, I believe it was, teams in terms of number of players drafted. And so this is kind of where guys fell, right? We had CC Marinoa end up going to the Giants at the 10th overall pick. We had Ruben Bain go number 15 to the Bucks, which I was super lit about because I am a Bucks fan. I'm born and raised up here in the Tampa Bay area. Super excited to see Ruben come to the Bucks, man. We've needed a pass rusher since 2020. We haven't had a guy who can get after a quarterback since Shaq Barrett in his prime season of 2020, and we won that Super Bowl. So getting Ruben Bain is fantastic. We've got one of the best D tackles in all of the NFL. And so now you're able to put a Ruben Bain next to him, man. I could not be more ecstatic to have Ruben Bain be a Buck. It's very rare. Do you see a team or do you get to experience a kid balling out for your favorite college team and then go into your favorite NFL team? Like, I don't know if that's happened before. Not that I can think of. I can't think of any like highly sought after Hurricane players who ends up landing with the Bucks. Man, now I get to continue to cheer for him. So when that creamsicle Ruben Bain jersey drop, I gotta have it, dog. I gotta have it. The Dolphins are goofballery. I'm assuming some of y'all are Dolphins fans. If you're Canes fans, the fact that the Dolphins let Ruben Bain walk past them, man, to take Caden Proctor, I've never been a Caden Proctor fan. I wasn't a Caden Proctor fan out of high school when he was rated over Francis Marinoa. I don't think he's done anything in college to change my mind on that. I feel like he's been overrated the entire time. And the Dolphins take this man first overall when Ruben Bain is sitting right there. A hometown hero is sitting right there. And y'all take Caden Proctor. Like, come on, Dolphins. But as a Bucks fan, I appreciate y'all. I appreciate y'all being goofballery the way that you are. Akeem Mesidor goes 22nd overall, first round pick to the Chargers. Super dope to see him go out there. It looks like he's already building a relationship with Khalil Mack. One of the elite pass rushers of this generation. So being able to learn from him, I think is going to be super dope. Carson Beck ended up going 3rd round to the Cardinals and actually is going to have a chance to start this season. Right, there are some. Ty Simpson's not starting. Ty Simpson ended up being the number 2 quarterback. Fernando Mendoza's number 1 quarterback going to Oakland. You imagine he'll start. Carson being the 3rd overall quarterback drafted. I thought that was dope. Yes, 3rd round. This was a very weak quarterback class. But Carson being the 3rd quarterback taken, I thought was a pretty cool thing, man, especially considering what he went through with the elbow injury, all the negative publicity, the breakup publicly, with the Cavern the girl and getting to Miami and his car got stolen in the first couple of months and people thought he wouldn't be able to make any noise in Miami. You end up getting an opportunity to go play for a natty and then you end up being the 3rd quarterback drafted. So shout out to Carson Beck, man. Kid gets a lot of negative talk about him and honestly, I don't get it. Like he seems to just handle his business. He stay out the way, don't really say much or nothing for whatever reason people hate on Carson. So I'm cheering for Carson to have a successful NFL career. You know, is Arizona the best situation to go into? Probably not, but he does have a receiver, Marvin Harrison Jr. So hopefully it works out for him. He also got Jeremiah Love at running back, who the running game hopefully will take some responsibility off of his shoulders. Markel Bell ends up going to the Eagles, which that's a really good position to be in. The Eagles, low key, actually, it's not low key. The Eagles have done a really, really good job when it comes to drafting and developing in their trenches. Markel Bell, you can't teach that 6'9" wingspan. You cannot teach that size. And for him to be able to move the way he does at his size is special, man. He's got a little more developing to do, though. He's got some cleaning up that needs to take place in his technique, but the ceiling is ridiculous, right? The ceiling is as high as you want it to be with Markel Bell. He's going to go to a organization who is about the trenches. The Eagles are about those trenches, man, and so I like to see that fit for him. Jacoby Thomas ends up going 3rd round to the Minnesota Vikings. It's the Vikings. where you just don't expect him to make a whole lot of noise for quite a while. They're in a rebuild. But, I'm glad he's going to a place where he should have an opportunity to shine, right? He's not sitting behind a whole bunch of dudes who are going to be eating up all the snaps. He should be getting some real snaps. He will get real opportunities to play, I imagine, early. And so I think that's a good situation for Jacoby, man, and I'm cheering for him too. Keontae Scott, man, circling back around to my Bucks, man. My Bucks had a great draft. I have not enjoyed a Bucks draft, or I have not signed off or co-signed a Bucks draft the way I'm co-signing this draft in a long time. Like, I am not one of those fans that whatever the Bucks do, I'm just with it and I think it's great. No, I'm usually very critical, and I am upset and disliking the things that the Bucks do when it comes to a draft standpoint. But I love this draft. They take Ruben in the first round, 15th overall pick. No idea why he ends up sliding. Actually, I imagine he slides because of the arm length thing, and there's going to be a GM that gets fired for not taking Ruben Bang. There was a GM who could have taken Ruben Bain, who didn't, who drafted a kid who's going to end up being a bust. That GM's going to get fired because Ruben Bain is going to be a baller. He's going to go off in the NFL, and the ownership is going to look at that GM and say, why didn't you draft that kid when you had a chance? But anyway, Keontae Scott. I thought Keontae Scott was a top 2 nickel corner in this draft. He ends up falling to the 4th round. He ends up falling to the Bucks again, which I think is a great fit under the current head coach Todd Bowles and the way he runs his defense. Keontae Scott is an excellent, phenomenal, incredible blitzer. The Bucks love to blitz from the nickel spot. Long as we keep Keontae in the nickel and continue to lean into what he does best, I think he is going to be fantastic. The Bucks play a ton of zone, whole lot of cover two, buck, cover 3. Keontae Scott's ability to read a field, react, the work he puts in the film room. Again, just go back to the play against Ohio State. His ability to see how things are developing, understand tendencies, and then have the athletic profile to go make a play. I think he should have won the Jim Thorpe. The fact that he falls to the 4th round, the Bucks are able to scoop him up is fantastic. Great pickup by the Bucks. I think Keontae is going to have an opportunity to shine here as well early. I think he's going to fit very, very well into the system, and I expect him to do very well. Inez Cooper falls to the Jets. Just glad to see Inez get a shot, man. I love Inez Cooper as a person from everything we've seen, like the personality. He was the voice of that offensive line. Not the most skilled, never was going to be the highest drafted. But when you talk about or you talk to guys who were in that offense the last few years, they talk about the fact that Inez Cooper was a leader, man. He developed into a vocal guy, ended up being a leader in that unit, was the mouthpiece or the voice of the offensive line group. And so to see him get that opportunity, man, especially considering he was a 3-star recruit. Inez Cooper was not a highly sought after recruit, man. He wasn't a 5-star kid, but he put in the work. He reshaped his body over the years. He learned technique. He grinded and worked his way into being a multi-year starter at the University of Miami, very nearly a national champion. And now he can say he's an NFL draft pick. Big fan of Inez Cooper. Absolutely cheering for him. I'm cheering for all of them, right? Obviously. But man, cheering for Inez Cooper is very, very easy if you're a Miami Hurricane fan. And then CJ Daniels getting picked in the 6th round to the Los Angeles Rams. Another fantastic situation. Obviously, he won't be asked to do a whole lot because the Rams have Puka Nacua. They got Devontae Adams. They also took a tight end for whatever reason. I feel like they got like 8 tight ends, man. But CJ Daniels was a good locker room ad, man. He made some incredible catches. His issue, I think, in Miami was sometimes the consistency, but you saw some of the spectacular catches he can make, man. And I love to just see him get a chance because he seems like a really good kid. He was a galvanizer of our wide receiver room this last year, and he's a grinder. He's a worker. He was there in those early mornings with Malachi Tony putting in that work, man. Holding Malachi accountable, ended up rubbing off on each other. Pause. And so I just really like CJ Daniels, man. I love to see him, especially after the injuries and all of that and that throwaway year at LSU. He gets an opportunity in the league, man. So very, very good draft from a Miami Hurricanes perspective. Fantastic draft from a Bucks fan perspective, Jose in the comments. Jose says he's excited to see the Bucks play this year for sure. You're a Cowboys fan, okay? Now looking forward to playing the Giants. CC is definitely going to help them more physically imposing. Yo, I thought the Cowboys had a good draft too. I graded the Cowboys draft out as an A, man. Getting a Caleb Downs, first of all, that's a home run. And then coming back with a Malachi Lawrence, where the measurables, the tape, the explosiveness, the twitch that he's shown over his career and his development at UCF, I thought the Cowboys had a really good draft. But yeah, man, having to face CC every year isn't a situation you necessarily want to be in, man. But happy to see all those boys get drafted, man. We at the 31-minute mark. Y'all know how I do these for those who watch these regularly. I try to get in and get out. No need to belabor points. No need to talk any longer than necessary. A lot going on right now. Just a quick recap. Listen, if you're concerned about recruiting, Aaron Rodgers once said, RELAX. Relax. We're going to be fine. We are going to be fine from a talent acquisition standpoint. We've been fine since Mario took the job. Since Mario stepped on campus, we've been fine from a talent acquisition standpoint. We're going to continue to be fine. The program is in good hands. We're not falling off the map. We are not Free Shoes University where we peak in that season and then the next year we win 2 games. This ain't happening. It's not happening around here. So you're good. You can relax. Shout out to all the pro Canes, all the guys that were drafted this past weekend, the 9 guys that got to hear their name called, man, on national TV. Shout out to those 3 guys who got to walk across that stage in the first round. Hey, man, that's it for me. Again, big thanks for all the likes, all the subscriptions. When I hit 305 subs, I'm going to give away something. I'm going to buy a piece of merchandise, probably from Caneswear, and I'm going to give it away. I'll do I don't know what you call it, a sweepstakes. I'll do a giveaway of some sort. Hit 305 subs, then I'm going to do that. Again, I appreciate everybody who's been showing love, man. I'm doing this show every Tuesday night right here at 8 p.m. Please continue to rock out with me. Please continue to hit them comments. I'm responding to everybody because, again, I just want to talk good Canes ball with everybody. Until I holler at y'all next week, I'm going to tell y'all be safe, man. And as always, y'all know what it is. It's go Canes. Peace.